Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. You know what? Doing exceptional because we had the best time this past Saturday down in Philadelphia at the Roots Picnic.
Yeah, I mean, we were down there to do our podcast live.
Right.
And we worked really hard to try and figure out who the perfect guest would be.
And that was?
Ninth Wonder and Rory from the Joe Budden podcast and Scotty Beam.
Deani Scott, right?
And I think it was a really great conversation.
We had the best conversation. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about the Kanye situation. We talked about the Drake and the Pusha situation.
I mean, we obviously went into Ninth Wonder stuff.
Yes. Oh, so when Ninth came up, we got into his relationship with Kanye, but certainly, yes, the new Black Thought album that he did, as well as the Rhapsody album, as well as the Little Brother stuff.
As well as the first time he met Questlove, which led into the first time that we met Questlove, and we were total psychopaths.
And afterwards, the first thing that Ninth Wonder said to us was he can't wait to come back to New York City to do a full 2-hour plus episode with us. So we'll look forward to that. The crowd was great. The venue was great. The weather was hot, and then it got rainy later on. But overall, a wonderful experience. A lot of people told us beforehand, they said, the Roots Picnic is a lot like a reunion, all these friends getting together, and I have to say they were exactly right.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see all of our friends backstage. We talked with a whole lot of the performers, people we've known for a long, long time.
But also, like, you know, when we were out and getting recognized by people, or
amazing.
Like, people were able to come up to us and say how much they appreciate our podcast, or like some guy came up and said that Cardo Got Wings is actually 4'9" and that our math was off.
And also, that same guy, Jeff, mentioned that his favorite thing was to listen to our movie review podcast with Styles and Chic.
Yeah, two Jews and two black dudes review the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
And he said he doesn't even care to watch the movies. He just likes to listen to those reviews, which I think is the best kind of review.
I guess.
In any event, shout out to everybody who said what's up to us. Shout out to all of our friends we saw backstage. And I did want to say shout out especially to Rory and Deani and Ninth Wonder who made everything happen.
But also, I mean, shout out to Shinsuke.
Big shout out to our friend Shin, who we've known for a very, very long time.
I went to middle school and high school with him.
All of that. Shin was obviously there to enjoy the festival, to enjoy our performance, to experience everything. But also, what Shin did not have to do, and he went above and beyond, you know, he had no duties to do, but he went above and beyond them anyway. Anytime someone wanted to take a picture, he grabbed the camera. He was the one to take it. Anytime someone wanted to talk to us, he grabbed our backpack that held all the shirts. It was great. And Shin was, he was running around to give people tickets on our behalf. It was really wonderful. And it is that spirit that we love sharing, you know, with Shin or with Greg Mayo or with Dan, our brother. And I'd called our mom yesterday to give her the whole rundown on the festival and everything. And she was like, wow, this is excellent that Shin was a part of it. And he should be, because he was there at the very, very, very beginning, not just of our friendship, but certainly at the beginning of It's The Real, when he starred as one of the FedEx delivery guys in Deconstructing Biggie, our first sketch video.
People thought that he was Korean. They called him Korean Diddy.
He is not.
He is Japanese.
That's right. Shout out to Shinsuke. Shout out to Rory. Shout out to Deani. Shout out to Ninth Wonder. And by the way, big shout out to Munir, one of the Roots managers, who was the first one to really fight for us for this festival, who brought us along, who was a big part of figuring out who our guests would be, and is a great friend to us, a great supporter to us, and just a huge shout out to Munir.
Yeah, and I also just want to shout out us for creating these amazing t-shirts, one of which you were wearing at the festival.
Oh, have we mentioned the AKA t-shirts?
A couple times.
They're available right now, but by the way, they might not be available for long the way that we have been selling these t-shirts. There's been a big demand. On the front, you have our name and established in 2007, best in 2018. And on the back, you have a million of our AKAs, all the stuff that you guys love at the beginning of every podcast. And for, you know, all these years, our AKAs are listed down the back. It looks great. It's on a purple t-shirt, which, by the way, is the Pantone color of 2018.
All you Pantone heads out there.
And if you don't believe us, you can believe Rory from the Joe Budden podcast, who said that this t-shirt stands out, that it looks great, that it feels great. Also, our friend Jason, who I hand-delivered one to, said that, and this is a quote, the podcasts aren't the only high-quality thing that It's The Real is up to.
Ho-ho.
How about that? Shout out to Jason Davis. T-shirts are available at itsthereal.com/shop. Shout out to everyone who's bought them. Shout out to everyone who's about to buy them. Don't wait any longer. itsthereal.com/shop. shop. Jeff, today on the podcast.
Today on the podcast, we have Taylor Rooks.
Taylor Rooks.
Taylor Rooks, who, a lot of people might know her. Her star has been rising for the past few years.
She is a sports journalist. She is a sports anchor. She is a sports reporter. You may know her from SNY or the Big Ten Network before that.
Yeah, or even just Instagram. I mean, she is just like, she's out here. She started off in Atlanta, and, she was driven. She always knew what she wanted to be, which was to be this interviewer, this TV personality.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing about Taylor is that she doesn't define herself strictly for those sports reports.
No, of course not.
It's more about, like us, by the way, the bigger, broader picture of a person's life and what a person can do with that life. So when she interviews Deion Waiters or a Dwayne Wade or
even like a Meek Mill,
you are getting bigger themes and more impactful things than just a sports score. And I think that is super dope for her, and I think that's super dope for her audience. So shout out to Taylor and her podcast.
Yeah, and I think that another thing that was really great about this interview was that, when Taylor came over, I don't know that we expected that she would have had such a similar journey or approach to her career the way that we have.
Yeah, we do make mention of this, and maybe some of you guys out there do know our story and how hard we worked to get in touch with people and how successful we were in getting past the gatekeepers and through these doors and up to the highest ranks of the executives to get things done. But Taylor is just like us in that regard where, people may say no, and it's all right to take that as a chip on your shoulder and go figure out the person that's going to say yes. So shout out to Taylor Rooks for spreading that message. She has a wonderful story, and we're thrilled that she came over to tell it. Jeff, when do you want to get into this episode?
Right after, I just want to recommend 3 podcasts of ours that I think if you like Taylor Rooks' episode, you might enjoy these other ones. Mm-hmm. I want to say Rich Kleiman.
That's Kevin Durant's business partner and manager, and he has this whole history at Rock Nation and managing Wale and Meek Mill and Mark Ronson and a whole bunch of other people.
And I want to say Ravy B,
who obviously you guys know is the photographer of the moment. She's been with Beyonce and Jay-Z and Future and on and on and on.
And I want to say Cameron McCullough.
All right. Shout out to Cam from Duce Palooza. Started Henny Palooza, turned it into Duce Palooza, and there's so much more there. Shout out to Cam. Shout out to Raven. And big shout out to our guy, Rich Kleiman. Jeff, when do you want to get into this?
Right now.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Going Dumb Off the Boards, a.k.a. Yayar Smith.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Blow Your Back Out, a.k.a. Cupping Treatment.
This is Taylor Rooks, a.k.a. I wish I was prepared to have a cool name right now, but Blow Your Back Out was great.
Yeah, this is a waste of time with ItsTheReal. Taylor, what's happening?
Nothing. I love this energy, though. Everything is great. Early morning, cup of coffee.
Yeah, thanks for coming through.
Of course.
By the way,
I love this place.
We've been listening to Pusha T all morning.
Yeah, just energy.
Oh, yeah. So you're ready.
No, we're so ready.
Yeah. Who are you making your diss track for?
I'm still going with Drake.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to join Pusha and going on Drake.
So, Taylor, let us know if this timeline is exactly right.
Okay.
Meek Mill was in jail. Meek Mill was out of jail. Meek Mill goes straight to the Sixers game. He goes straight to your podcast.
On a helicopter. With Michael Rubin.
That's how it happened.
It was the only reason that he came to New York. I was the #1 stop on the press tour. No.
Can we tell you how awesome it was from this side just to see that?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I mean, it was cool because, that's something that I don't want to say that you dream of, but just it was the dream circumstance that you want to talk about prison reform and social justice, and you get somebody right out of prison,
Yeah.
And I think it was important for him, and it was really cool that he was so willing to talk about it straight away.
Totally.
And I think you get out of prison, you probably want to chill for a little bit. Yep. You want to focus on life and your family, but I think he's realized that in a lot of ways he wants to champion a cause and try to bring awareness to the thousands of Meek Mills that are out there. So I was very excited to have him on the podcast.
How much did it mean to you and your team?
Yeah, they were excited. It's so funny though. I always talk about, when you are a young person, maybe a young person of color, and you go into a space that is filled predominantly with people that don't look like you. And
like
you
this
bring
one.
Yeah. But it's different. And you're bringing Meek Mill. And they're like, well, what was Meek Mill? But it's Meek Mill's here because he has a bigger story to tell. We're going to talk about sports, but there's so much more. And I think I've been very blessed and very fortunate to bring like a different perspective of life to a place like SNY
Yep.
and to a lot of, people in New York that maybe don't see that or understand that. So I think that if anything for my colleagues, it just meant seeing a different side of something. And I think that's probably the most important thing you can do.
How long did it take you to confirm and lock down that interview?
It was surprisingly faster than I thought. So when he got out of prison, I was like, he's probably not even on Instagram, but I DM'd him and I said, hey, I heard you're going to Sports Illustrated next week. Would you be able to come on my podcast? He gave me the email for his publicist and like some of the people at Rock Nation. I emailed them. They sent me a time to confirm the next day.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, for sure. And like, shout out to Meek. I'm so thankful for him because he was like, no, I want to do the podcast. Make sure you fit her in.
Yeah.
And so I was not expecting it to just like the next day get a time from Rock Nation.
So what we
But
should
it
take
worked.
from this is DMs work.
100%.
Okay, great.
I mean,
Okay,
that is a lot how I get a lot of the guests.
Is that right?
Yeah, social media has been like a saint to me.
You don't even
truly.
use email anymore?
I mean, that's how we got
Sometimes,
you.
Oh,
yeah.
actually, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, you get on social media and then you get to the email,
Right.
but a lot of the times that's just the easiest way to contact people straight away.
Yeah.
And it's certainly helped.
We went to a Wiz Khalifa listening, which is, normally they don't take away your phones, but this was one where they did. They don't want people to record. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Not that anyone would record anyway, but they took the phones away and they put them in pouches so you can't get them.
Yeah.
Like when you go to Dave Chappelle's show, right? They lock
Mm-hmm.
them away. And I was making fun of a friend who took a new job and got business cards. And I was like, who needs business cards in this day and age? And then when I was networking with someone later on, they were like, can I get your information? And I took out my phone and it was locked away. So I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I wish I had a business card.
Yeah, see, it's weird, like, with the business cards. I have one for SNY, but I always feel so, like, pretentious giving a business card. I'd rather just be like, give me your email, give me
Yeah.
your number, and I'll send you my info. Just
Well, now
carrying
it's
them
just
is weird
like
to
at
me.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, but like having a business card is such an adult thing.
Yeah.
I still don't feel like I'm an adult, like to be carrying around business cards and
totally.
giving them out.
Can I
But I'll
hand
get
out
used
your
to it.
business cards and act like they're my business?
For sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'll send you. I had like 1,000. They give you that huge thing
Yeah.
in bulk, so
Like a
there's
sleeve of it,
plenty
yeah.
to
Yeah.
go around.
How great would that be, by the way, if someone just didn't check it, like, thank you, and put it in the pocket?
Yes. What would y'all's business card say? Like, okay, your name and
ours?
then.
A blank sheet of paper.
Ours is very confusing. We went to the Grammys one time, and we met Jam Master Jay's son, and he was like, what do you do? And we're like, we're hip-hop
I
sketch
love how
comedians.
casually we went to the Grammys one.
Yeah.
Oh, just
Yeah.
went to
We
the
weren't
Grammys.
nominated.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
It's still cool though.
But we said we're hip-hop sketch comedians, and he was like, oh, you guys draw rappers. And we're like, oh, you know
Because
what?
of sketch.
I get it. I see where your head's at.
But yeah, no.
No.
Like, we're
That's
not
not
like
it.
we're not in Times Square like drawing ASAP Ferg like on a skateboard riding over
No, like
a
in the
crocodile.
subway.
No,
Yeah.
totally. So that's why business cards wouldn't work.
Yes, for sure.
Let's go back to the very beginning.
Okay.
Where are you originally from?
I am from Georgia.
Where in Georgia?
Gwinnett County, so like Zone 7. Like,
Okay.
where the Migos are from.
Yeah.
Whenever I say Gwinnett, that's what people say. They're like, oh, like North, like the Migos. Yes, the Migos are from.
Norf.
Yes,
North.
exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, NAWF.
Okay, all right, there we go. There
You
you
gotta
go.
add the W. But yeah, so because so in Georgia, people usually say where they're from based on the county. I don't think it's like that in a lot of other places. Like for example, Black. The reason he has a 6 is because he's from Zone 6. So that's
Right.
a different, county. So I'm from Zone 7, Southern. Very, very Southern.
Yep.
I don't think New York has really rubbed off on me yet. I hope it doesn't. Not that I
long
don't love New Yorkers. I just,
How long have you been up here for?
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years. So, but I've heard that you're a New Yorker after 2 years. Is that true or false?
I feel like it's 10. Like not to like
Yeah.
put
So
it
make
down.
it
Yeah.
8
You're
more.
like,
Yeah,
like,
make it 8 more.
You're not there yet.
No,
Yeah.
but like 2 is cute, but like
Yeah, well, and the explanation I heard for that is because usually New York weeds people out after 2 years.
Fair.
You know, like whether you can stay or you gotta go.
Right.
Well,
you
listen,
know?
after 2 years, you know where you're going on the subways, right?
Yes,
Right.
I do.
Okay.
I actually love the subway.
Yeah, why not?
For a
Like-
second I thought you were gonna be like, I actually don't take the subway.
No,
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
would prefer taking a subway over a taxi, over a car. I don't know how I've lived my entire life without the subway. I think it's the most amazing.
It's the best.
invention.
We were down in Atlanta last month,
Mm-hmm.
and
The MARTA is not the subway.
no,
Okay.
no. But the Uber that we jumped in,
Actually, you wanna know what? You might be a New Yorker the way you just quickly turned on.
but we took an Uber that we
Screw
thought
you,
was going to
Georgia.
be like just super quick, and it ended up being like an hour, and we're still in Atlanta,
Yeah.
which was shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely see that. But yes, I am a Southern Belle.
Yeah. Do you come from a big family?
Sort of. I mean, like, I have a younger sister. It's more that one of my grandparents is one of 11. The other is like one of 9.
Wow.
Yeah, but both of my parents, it's just them.
Gotcha.
So it's like my extended family.
Okay,
It's
tell
huge.
us about family reunions.
Family reunions are fun.
T-shirts?
T-shirts always.
Yep.
Definitely on my dad's grandma's side. Like you just sleep in the big family reunion.
Yeah.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
But no, they're a lot of fun. They're very different though. Like my mom's family is a lot different than my dad's family. My mom's family is just more like they want to have fun, but they don't want to get crazy. My dad's family is like, let's get crazy, But it's a lot of fun.
How many raisins are there in the potato salad?
None. We don't do that over here. Okay, neither side. Don't worry, guys. I got you back. No reason.
But just you and your sister, what's the age difference there?
My sister is 18. She is about to be a sophomore at UGA.
Wow.
So I'm very sad. You never think your younger sibling becomes an old person. Like to me, she shouldn't be in college. I still think she's 6. Literally, I'm being dead serious. When she tells me certain things that happen, I'm like, one of your friends is pregnant. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Don't let that be you. But it's just insane that she gets older and then she gets put into situations that like I've been put in. You just always think the youngest stays young.
Yeah.
I truly think she'll be 30. I'm like, how do you know that cuss word? It's just something to get over.
What was your guys' relationship growing up?
I think because the age gap, it's harder to be as close when you're growing up, but now we're so much closer because we can relate on other levels.
Yeah.
We've always been, of course, like close. She's my sister, but it's more of a friendship now. I think growing up, it was just, this is my sister. I'm going to take care of her and protect her and hope she's doing well. And it's cool to see how that relationship evolve. I even think about me and my mom. As the older I get, I act exactly like my mom.
Yeah,
and look
yeah.
exactly like my mom.
Yep.
And it's just with age, you have so many realizations about your family and how you are such a direct reflection of them. And that's what I'm saying with my sister. I think she has picked up on a lot of my habits and things that she thinks and says. And she always says like what she wants to do is be the president. And she believes it.
Wow. Dope.
My parents have always instilled, like, if you say you want to do something, then, like, just work hard and do that. And she's like, well, what I want to do is be the president. So she's getting into politics. She, like, drove from Georgia up to D.C. for that march. Like, she was helping campaign for Stacey Abrams, the Black Democratic candidate for governor. Like, she is very into making a change. She just thinks the world is terrible. And she's like, I want to change it, which it is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So
and good
I
for
hope she can change it.
At 18.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But she's been like this since high school. Like, student government in high school. Like, she was the homecoming queen. She's
driven.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah. She is better than me in every single way. And that's what I want.
That's
I want
awesome.
her to
You
be
were
better than me.
homecoming queen.
I wasn't, but I was on homecoming court.
Which
So I'll
means
take
what, like the
that.
secretary?
Yeah. Like, you pick like, there's like 4 finalists, I did not win,
Ah.
but it's okay.
All right. Well, what was high school like for you?
High school was fun. I got voted most likely to be remembered. Yeah, it's like a weird
Is that a
superlative,
good thing or a
right?
bad thing?
I know, I'm like, remembered for what?
Yeah.
Like stabbing somebody.
Exactly. But I won that, so that was cool. I know people talk about high school like it should be one of the worst times ever. I loved it.
Same.
Yeah, high school
I
was dope.
loved it. It's so funny though, because when you're in high school, everything that happens in high school is the end of the world.
Oh.
If you have a boy drama, friend drama, someone is talking shit about you, you're like, how is my life gonna go on? This is it. This is stuck. I'm here. Then now you're like, who do I talk to from high school?
Right.
And this didn't matter. Like in high
None
school,
of
I
it.
thought my high school boyfriend was for sure who I was gonna marry. We broke up. I was devastated. I don't know.
Look at you
what is
now.
going- yeah.
Like-
So, and that's one thing I would always tell my sister is, this is not as big as you think. You think right now there is nothing past high school. This is just the beginning.
Isn't it the craziest thing to go to? Let's say you go to your sister's high school graduation and they have the president speak, right?
Yeah.
And you are a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, and you're talking like, hey, we've been through so much together. And
Yeah.
we have so much. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Like, it's the worst waste of time.
Remember we failed that math
Yeah.
test together? Like that's the worst
The
thing
worst.
that happens, But high school is amazing. At our graduation, actually, I think a lot of things manifested for me in high school. And our class president, her name is Salam Solomon, during the speech that she gave at the graduation, she's talking about like how everybody in the crowd is going to grow up and do something. And she goes, we may have Taylor Rooks be the next Barbara Walters, because I had always known I wanted to interview people.
Yeah.
And then she goes, when Bradley Roby may be the next NFL player, and now he plays for the Broncos, you know? So it was just really cool that so many of my friends in high school, we knew what we wanted to do. We set out and we did it. And
or was your class president just like an amazing soothsayer?
Yes. She was Miss Cleo, actually. So I have very fond memories of high school, and I think I look back on that and more so think like you really said you were going to do some shit and you went and did it.
So extracurricular activities?
Not really. I ran track.
Okay.
Were you good?
I was straight. You know, I wasn't Jackie Joyner cursing.
No, well.
Wait, relay?
Yeah, I did relay, and then I did 100 and 200.
How were you with the baton?
Pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, that's like the biggest thing you have to just be good at if you're doing the relay. Just make sure that the baton doesn't drop.
Well, what leg were you?
I was not the anchor. I usually was like second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like keep the lead.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Just try your hardest not to mess this shit up, right? And it was more so just something I did because you kind of feel like you should play a sport at some point.
Okay.
You know? But I've just always loved talking about sports more and watching sports because the sport I would want to play was football.
Right.
And, you know, I couldn't play football.
Well, not with the guy from the Broncos.
Yeah,
already on
exactly.
the team.
Exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah.
You know, he would put me in, you know, triple coverage and I'm not catching that ball. No, he's a corner. Shout out to Bradley. He's great.
Was it a big high school?
Fairly, yeah. I would say in my graduating class, there was about maybe 2,000.
What?
Yeah, I would
like,
think.
that's like a small town.
Maybe I'm like remembering it incorrectly, but there was a lot of people. It's a big school. Maybe the school. No. I think. I wanted to do the school.
Oh my God,
It's a big school. Like when I hear people talk about their schools in small towns, it was not that for me.
Okay.
But so when like the class president is like, oh, Taylor Rooks, you know, it's
yeah.
There must have been like 1,800 people who were like, who?
I think that the school had that many people, and my graduating class had 800.
Well, okay, you know what? That's a lot.
I think that's what it
still
is.
a lot.
Yeah. Because 2,000 I know is in the mix because I remember them saying something about the number of people in the school, and I think it's
Your graduation must have been 5 hours.
It was long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I went to a big school.
You're R, just like us. It's like waiting for everybody just to
Yes,
like, walk.
exactly.
Oh my God.
And then Z feels like so cool because they say their name. Everyone yells because it's the last person.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, oh, I wish my last name was a Z when everyone was cheering for the very last person.
By the way, that day you have one job too. It's like shake with the right and take with the left, right?
Yeah.
That's all you do.
It? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how I live my life.
Yeah. Shake with the right.
That's,
take
that's
with the right.
my
take with the
motto
left.
every single day.
But you were in Jeff. You were in
I was in National Honor Society.
Honor Society, right?
I'm very smart.
No, but that meant that
I see it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to wait till like the R's with the regular R's.
No, I graduated first.
Yeah.
Not first, but like
Wow,
first R. Yeah.
humble brag.
Well, I mean, my twin brother came before me, but like whatever. It's just that Heather Rosenthal didn't break us up. That's what Eric is asking.
Well,
That
no,
is
okay,
hilarious.
because there was this girl who had no relation to us, you know, and
Yeah, she moved in from Arizona, and suddenly it's like Dan Rosenthal, Heather Rosenthal, Jeff Rosenthal, and it's like.
in the yearbook, yeah.
I mean, she has to join the family.
But
then.
luckily, she was a dummy, and so
Yeah.
she yeah.
Wait. So, like, what was your GPA?
I had like a 90 something.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I graduated like 34th in the class.
Jeez, you guys are overachievers.
Oh, no,
That's
no.
Yeah,
great.
but that
though.
being said, I didn't have
Maybe
800
Jeff was an
people in my
overachiever.
class.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Wait.
I
so
had
then
36
was you
people in my
guys?
class.
What?
No.
No.
That would be.
You
I
had,
was like,
you had
wait,
200.
something 34 is not
Yeah.
impressive.
No, I had 200 something, 220.
I had one.
And where'd you guys go to high school?
Just north of here, up in Westchester.
Public
Okay.
high school. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Harrison High School.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
any
it seems
people
much
listening from
smaller
Rye,
than it was.
fuck you out there. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, we hold those grudges like even to
That's
this
right.
day.
Go
Yes,
Huskies.
it's important to do that.
Yeah. Did you get your driver's license on your first try?
No.
Uh-oh.
I failed at parallel parking. And it's funny because there was this place in Georgia, it's called Winder, and everyone said if you go there, it's the easiest test. So I make my mom drive us like 45 hours to
God.
go to Winder to take this test. I'm terrible at parallel parking. I walk in, she can tell I failed because I'm like basically about to cry. I'm like, I didn't get my license. And she's like, pissed because she drove this whole way, you know? But then I went the next week and got it, and it's fine, and it doesn't matter. Now I can drive.
Right.
But it's weird because I meet so many people here that do not have a license.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, nobody
don't
in New York
drive.
has. Yeah, no.
Right.
But
That is strange.
Well, also, like, how much do you parallel park in Georgia where there's so
True.
much space?
Yeah.
I hate that parallel parking is like a necessity to get your license because I've done it maybe twice. When I lived in Chicago, I parallel parked a lot.
Man.
And I'm a master.
Well, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I can
grew
brag
on
about
me.
my GPA, but you can brag about
Yeah, my parking.
Yeah.
And by the way, you may be a master at parallel parking, but your sister's better.
For sure.
You know?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
100%. She passed on the first try, so.
So at the end of high school, where did you apply to go to school?
I applied to Illinois. My family made me apply to Georgia, but I always knew I wanted to leave. I wanted to go where my parents went, but I also think it's very...
Your parents went to UGA?
No, to Illinois.
Oh, to Illinois.
But I also think that it's very necessary to leave where you're from
Right.
at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to go to UGA and it would just be the 13th grade. It was important for me to grow outside of the surroundings that I had been in.
Totally.
So right when I got accepted into Illinois, I was like, boom, that's the place.
And you're a legacy now.
Yes, exactly. And
And
now when I have kids, they better fucking go to Illinois.
Oh, they better.
Or they'll get kicked out.
So Urbana-Champaign is not Chicago.
It is not. It's about 2 hours away.
So it's like the Winder of Illinois.
Yes, it is the Winder of Illinois. It is, but I mean, it's great. And all those lists that come out every year, it's one of the top 3 party schools and all that stuff. I mean, I was never partying.
You're an Illini.
Never partied. Yes, I'm an Illini.
Okay.
Because we don't have a mascot.
You did.
We were the Chiefs, but
Yeah.
then it was like, hold on. Can't be the Chiefs these days.
Right.
Still waiting for Florida State to get theirs taken away.
Oh, my God.
Because if ours is taken away, all y'all needs to be taken away.
There's 100 schools have to get their mascots
Yeah.
taken away.
Right,
Like
so-
Cleveland Indians. How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Not a school,
Although
but
we
whatever.
really should change the Redskins.
Yeah.
It is insane that they are called the Redskins.
It is.
Yeah.
Even St. John's changed theirs to the Red Storm, when all that happened in the late 90s or whatever.
Yeah. So
You go out there,
Yeah.
and what do you know about the Midwest?
I was born in St. Louis.
You were?
I was born in St. Louis, but I've been in Georgia since I was 6. So when people say where I'm from,
Oh, so it
it's
takes you
Georgia.
6 years to become a Georgian.
Yes,
Yeah,
to,
okay,
to
yeah.
get to Georgia.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I was born in St. Louis. We lived in Chicago. We lived in LA for a year. We moved to Georgia. So within 6 years, I had moved.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, what brought it? So was your dad's job changing a bunch? Your mom? Or,
Dad's job had been changing, and then when they decided, okay, they wanted a place permanent, they moved to Georgia. My grandparents lived in Georgia. It just seemed like the right place to be, and we stayed.
Gotcha.
But a lot of my family's in the Midwest. So my uncle played for the Cardinals, and so
Wow.
there's
Shouts
just
to
kind
Lou
of a
Brock.
lot of So there's
Yeah.
just a lot of us. Well, he's my great uncle. So a lot of us are there. And I love St. Louis. I'm not really a Midwesterner unless it's Chicago, though. I love Chicago. Have you guys
You don't
been?
have the Midwest
Yes.
nice?
I do. I actually think Southern nice is nicer.
Well, that's Southern hospitality.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, I prefer the Southern people. I think it's more of a genuine niceness.
Okay.
Midwesterners are genuinely nice, but it's more like I'm nice because you're nice to me.
Right.
In the South, we're nice even if you're mean. You know
Wow.
what I mean? Yeah,
It
that's
feels like
why-
Trump is Midwest nice then, because he's only nice to people
those
who
who
are
are nice to him.
and he is
Right.
even nice to them. I mean, he'll turn on
Oh,
you.
he'll turn
quick.
on you as
Oh.
Yeah, like
Oh, just a weekly reminder. Fuck Donald Trump.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. We got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So you go out to the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like school from the very beginning?
loved it.
Oh, great.
I really, really loved it. But I knew that when I got there, I had to kind of decide, okay, this is what I want to do, and what am I going to do to attack that?
Yeah.
And I started this sports blog. It was called The Online Sideline. Really lame name, but shout out to The Online Sideline.
.blogspot.com.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was on Wix.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I remember once
So
I
you
saw
built your own website.
Yeah, I saw like a commercial on TV for Wix, and I'm like, that's the thing, yeah. So I went and built it on Wix, and it just kind of consisted of interviews from people around campus, managers of the basketball team, just whoever I could interview about sports.
Wow.
And then
Totally on your own.
totally on my own.
So did you get involved in the school newspaper or the radio
No.
station or any of that?
I've always been a person that wanted to do everything on my own.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with going to the paper and getting help, but I felt like I wanted everything to be like a brainchild of me.
Yeah.
I wanted everything to be my baby.
You were an only child for 8 years. So
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And every single thing I've ever done, I never got an internship through school. I never really went to the office to do that. All the internships came from the blog or me reaching out to people and seeing. And I think that that's a mistake people make when they're in college, is feeling as though college is supposed to help them. You're supposed to help yourself in
Exactly
college.
right.
Because if you're just going to the place that everyone else is going, you're going to be seeing and getting the same opportunities that every other person is getting. But the point is to separate yourself from everyone,
1,000%.
And I don't think people understand that. And a lot of people think that right when you graduate college, you get a job. That's just how it works.
Right.
And it isn't. So it was just important to me to make sure that I wanted to treat the 4 years that I was in school like I was working at, like Champaign was my market and I was a beat reporter in Champaign.
Yep.
So that when I graduated, it didn't look like I was going to my first job, it looked like I was going to my second. And that worked out well for me.
You start your website. It's dedicated to sports.
Yes.
There was no thought that you would go beyond sports and do just sort of general news reporting.
Yeah, I mean, I know that right now what I want to do is sports, but I always say I don't necessarily think I'm in the sports business as much as the people business. It's not, I don't want to be a sideline reporter or an analyst. I want to be somebody who interviews.
Right.
You know, and that just means I want to tell stories and I want to have meaningful discussions. And like with Meek Mill,
right.
Obviously we talked about sports, but there's a bigger discussion to be had.
Right.
Totally.
And that is what I want to do. I want to just make sure that I have discussions that have a broader impact on like society.
Totally.
I always tell people like growing up, I never was like, okay, I want to be famous or I want to be rich or I want to be known. I just always
You
felt
want to be
like
all those things.
I did all those things.
You want to be Barbara Walters.
Exactly. But more than that, it was like I've always known I wanted to be significant. And I think that there is a difference between those things. You know, I'm not doing it because I want people to know who I am. I want people to care about what I have to say and what I evoke out of other people.
So what was success for you with that Wix page?
Success for me with the Wix page was just people looking at it. Like, I remember like going home and watching Oprah, but it was like the world stopped when Oprah was on because everybody was watching Oprah. And that was her power, that you had to see what she had to say that day. And you had to see what the person she was talking to said and what she got them to say. Like, it was very important to watch Oprah that day. And I've always been like, that's what I want. I want what I'm saying and doing to be necessary viewing. I want if something happens with somebody, they want to talk to me to tell the whole world. I want to be able to let them tell that story the right way. And that's more so what I mean by significance. It wasn't that Oprah was famous, it was that she was meaningful.
And powerful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, no matter what, everyone for the rest of time will know who Oprah was, what she did, and that she was the absolute queen of it. She did it good, she did it professionally, she did it respectfully. And that to me like is success. So in many ways, I don't think I'm successful right now. I don't think that I'll feel successful until I've reached
Finish this podcast.
that. Yeah, exactly. This actually is the definition of success for me. I'm done. SNY, I quit. So yeah, I think that's kind of what it's meant for me in the broader scheme.
What was your first interview like? Like, even like going into that, because there's like this idea of like what kind of interviewer you want to be.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what was the thinking behind even doing your first interview?
Yeah, my first like big interview was with Steven Atwater. He was a safety for the Broncos. He went to high school with my dad, and I'm really good friends with his sons. We all went to high school together. And I was like, okay, I need something cool on my blog. I need like a big interview. But I used to interview the way that I thought interviews were supposed to be conducted. Does that make sense? Like, now I do interviews the way that I interview.
Yeah.
You know? So when I know I'm doing this interview, I have my sister record me on the camera outside of our house in a nice dress, and I'm walking. And I'm like, walking slowly, and I'm like, today I interview Steve Atwater. You know, like,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Like, you went full out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so like 60 minutes dramatic.
Yeah.
And that just isn't what it was, but I felt like that is how you were supposed to set up an interview, walking slowly in a pan, and your sister is like holding the camera.
Yep.
And bushes are behind you.
Soft
and that's not the
focus.
setting,
Yeah.
right? I did that.
A million takes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
No, there
Or-
was so many
yeah.
because I felt like I was walking awkwardly.
Yeah.
I'm like literally looking at
by
YouTube.
the way,
How do they do this?
100% you were definitely walking awkwardly because you're thinking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, make sure I say the right thing, and I'm thinking I have to add all these stats. And that's just not what it is.
Right.
But so, you know, I've transitioned from acting like an interviewer to just acting like myself.
Right.
But I remember that first interview, I felt at the time it was good. Obviously, I'm sure maybe you guys go back and listen to old podcasts and you're like,
we try not
this
to.
is so bad.
Yeah.
Why did anyone come on my podcast? You know, and that's what I felt. I'm like, why did anyone hire me? Because this shit's terrible.
Because I think people see potential.
Yeah.
You know, there's little things you can get from the early things
Yes.
that people are like, you know what, I like this, and I like it enough to tune in for the next one and the next one. And then 3 years later, you're just like, oh, yeah, those first ones were not great.
They're not great. They're not great. But thanks for taking the chance on me and letting me get better.
Totally.
Because that's one thing I always think about. Like Quentin Carter, who was the person that hired me at the Big Ten Network. Like he hired a 22-year-old, I mean, just turned 22, to go be on a national network, live television every single day. And I think that's a lot of opportunities is somebody believing you and deciding they're gonna take a chance on you. So I am thankful to the people that did see the potential and see the bad interview, but still think maybe there'll be a good one down the line.
For sure.
But you were also getting like, I mean, I guess we'll get to this, but like you were interviewing people like LeBron. You were interviewing, like, how did you get LeBron? And like, were you so nervous?
Yes. So that is a funny story. So it's my sophomore year, and I'm still working on this blog, and I'm just like, I need to keep getting bigger names. Like, I have to do something that is going to make this blog better. And a friend of mine named Cabin Walsh, he wanted to be like a sports agent. So we would always talk about, like, what could we do to just meet more people and figure things out? And so we're talking, like, what if we went to All-Star Weekend? Like, what if we get media passes to All-Star Weekend? When I say we hounded the communications director of the NBA, like sent so many emails. I'm like, can you please credential us? Yes.
Oh my God.
I mean, sent so many. For whatever reason, she decided to credential us. Gave us credentials to All-Star Weekend. We drive to Orlando.
Oh, we were down there.
Oh, yeah. Were you really
there?
Yeah. It was in Orlando. We drive. We, of course, stay the night at my house in Georgia, get up in the morning, and continue to drive. We picked up my friend Sam, and she came with us. This was the first time I had seen what, like, media scrum was like bringing all these NBA players out and people interviewing them. Everyone's doing the interviews, and I'm like, well, I don't want to go back to my blog and just have, like, their face.
And then a million microphones in front of them. Like,
yes.
That room was crazy, by the way.
Yeah, it really, really was. And so I'm like, what do I do? So as it's dying off, I see LeBron about to leave, and I literally just like tap him. I'm like, LeBron, can I ask you 2 questions on camera? And he was like, sure. And that was the moment I said, literally just ask. And I will ask anybody anything.
Right.
I'm like, if LeBron said, sure. Same thing with Kevin Durant. And that was when like we became cool. And that's when he was like, hey, I'll come to your podcast, because it's just the power of somebody saying yes, especially at that age when so many people are saying no. It's like, regardless of what anybody like feels about Kevin Durant, thinks about him or whatever, I'm always like, I think he's the best person ever, because that's something that meant a lot at that time.
And also for you, what's the worst that someone could say? No?
Right, exactly. And it's like, cool, you say no, or whatever. I'll get a yes another time. But I've learned that that's the thing that holds people back the most is they don't want to ask a question.
Right.
I promise you, if I saw Barack Obama, I would ask him.
Right.
And if he says no, he says no.
Right.
It doesn't really, that's not the worst thing in the world.
I remember, so growing up, I got 2 things. One is growing up, I had a friend who's, he was an Eagle Scout, and for like whatever ceremony, his mother.
He was an Eagle Scout. He just doesn't want to tell us.
No, Eric was definitely not.
Oh no.
They don't let you.
He's like my friend that was an Eagle Scout.
No, and I'll explain why. You'll be like, oh yeah, definitely not. Okay. My friend's mother sent a letter to the Pope asking if he would come to the ceremony. And was rejected, but the mother saved that note of the rejection, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Second thing is, I took a course in college, and the point was to get a budget from a film, and you want to go through all the things from the pre-production all the way to ancillary rights to figure out how a movie is made. And people did zero work, including myself. And our professor was like, "Reach out to people. What's the worst they'll say? No." And I took that to heart, and I came back with the Fast and Furious budget because I called up.
Wow.
I literally called up Neil Moritz. Neil Moritz was like, "Hey, thanks for showing initiative. You sound like you're bright and know what you're talking about. So yes, I'm going to put you in touch with everyone, and they will give you a physical copy of the budget."
Great.
And I went in.
And then a long story short, you that's how you end up with Kanye West.
That is
no, like really.
No, I promise you that is.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the long story short is that I have this drive like you do, and I wanted to work with Kanye West when he was just producing out of Chicago and had
still liked him.
And when we still liked him, and he had a film company in Chicago with Don C and John Monopoly called Hustle Film, and our other brother Dan and I went down to Asbury Park, New Jersey, waited outside, met Kanye and all of them. Don C took a liking to me, John Monopoly, and less than a year later, I'm out of the Grammys with Kanye West as his videographer. Anyway, there's more to that.
That's insane, but
it's very insane.
And yeah, all because you asked a question.
Yes, all because I wasn't afraid to hear no back.
Yes.
Because somebody else will say yes. But the point is that these guys said yes to you, and now you got those names in your back pocket.
Now I had it on a reel. you know,
Amazing.
and you know, because you want to have a reel for whatever reason like makes you stand out, and the fact that I was at that age, I was 19 and I had like interviews with LeBron and Kobe and like Kevin Durant on a reel.
And by the way, maybe that's why the Big Ten is just like, oh yeah, no, we want to.
Yeah, well, see, so I had the blog and had all of, you know, the people on it with the interviews. And that year, Fox Sports called me and said, hey, we want you to work for us your junior and senior year. So I was working for Fox Sports and Scout.com.
Doing what?
Covering like Illinois football, basketball, and recruiting.
Yeah.
Was the online sideline just gathering dust?
You know, sadly, yes.
All the loyal
I always say I
viewers?
wish I kept it up. I really, really do. Just because it's something that is like a relic, you know, like
Totally.
this was the beginning or
Right.
whatever.
Is
but
there
so-
an online sideline hive?
Oh, sadly, no. Maybe they missed me. They're like, what? It's funny because on Wix it would always show you, okay, what countries are looking.
Yeah.
When probably it's film and just like somehow got there, but I would always have all these people in Russia. I'm like fans in
Yeah.
Russia, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Looking at that line silent, but
You're like
no.
spring break in Moscow.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, and they'll recognize me as I walk down the
Yeah,
street.
yeah.
But yeah, so that went away. But I worked for them my junior and senior year, and that was to me the most pivotal part because you know I'm at every Illinois football game, every Illinois basketball game. With recruiting, I was literally breaking news. I was breaking where recruits were going when they had visits, what the coaches said, why they weren't going to go to this school. So I was creating news, and I think
With
that was
all
a
due
really big
respect
key.
to your professors, your class, and your legacy
Mm-hmm.
at the University of Illinois, how much did you learn by doing rather than just sitting in a class?
It's funny, like sitting in the class was beneficial to me because I saw a lot of the things I didn't want to do. You know, so for example, whenever we would have an assignment like that you had to do a package, I'd always want to do it on sports. And my professor was like, no, you need to do news because you don't know if you're going to do sports. And I would always look at him and say, no, I know I'm going to do sports. And I know I'm not going to do news. So I don't want to do a news story because I'm telling you, I'm not going to be a news anchor.
Yeah, we already saw you walking slowly. Like,
That's-
it's
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Is this what I'm gonna do? I ain't gonna be doing the camera pan. It's not on the cards for me. But that is the thing. Like I think it's very important to have experiences you don't agree with. It's like to figure out the ones that you do.
So
if
what are
that
some of
makes
those
sense.
stories you did?
Like I did one, Bruce Weber, who was the coach.
Yeah.
I had interviewed my uncle once
Mm-hmm.
for a paper. I would interview like fans about the climate of like sports. Like if they were bad, I would do a package on the school spirit around, you know, or like if there was a firing, I would do a story on that and different things like that. But the other thing that is so weird, I think it's not even just with journalism, it's with just the education system and college in general, is my professor would always say, okay, so you guys are going to graduate. I'm going to help you guys put together a reel that you can send to local stations because that's just what happens. You graduate, you go to a local station, and you kind of trying to work your way up. He's telling everyone, you will most likely start in a place like Idaho or a very small market, but that's okay. That's what everyone does. You'll eventually get to New York or LA. And I'm always thinking like, because everyone does that, why do we have to? Like, I'm not going to start in Ames, Iowa because I don't want to live in Ames, Iowa. And it's like, but students feel like they have to take a path that just because everyone else is taking the path.
Right.
And I just never felt that way. And my first job was a national network. And I think a lot of that was because I knew that it didn't have to be a local just because you told me that's what everyone had done.
Right.
And I just wish students and people in general realize that they have no limits and what someone else did has nothing to do with you.
Yep.
But we as people just tend to look at other people's path and say, this is how they did it. This is most likely what will happen for me. But you're holding yourself back if you're defining your circumstance by other people's circumstance.
Right.
But I think we do that all the time.
So did you send your reel to anywhere that you knew you didn't want to go?
Yeah, so I still did that as a
Yeah,
backup.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
right, yeah.
It's funny. So I would Google. So for example, we have like the markets. There's like I think 180. I think, and I would Google like ABC Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I would find one person's email at that station, and then just like keep changing the email. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yo,
So like you
I-
do like the period, you do the underscore, you do like
yes.
Yep. Mhm.
And I would look up ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox for literally all 180 markets.
Wow.
And find the news director. So I mean, I sent thousands of emails.
By the
Yeah.
way, it's so crazy because
We did the same thing.
We live
Yeah.
in like our own world, right? But also you do a million of these episodes. You think you hear every story. we have finally spoken to somebody who we're like looking in a mirror right now. Like
Yeah.
we have been down your path.
For sure.
But yeah, so you send all these emails.
Yeah,
and you
it's-
get one back, by the way.
Yeah, you
and
get
it's
one
the
back,
greatest,
or
yeah.
if people like, great reel, we don't have any openings, but I'm like, I'm just gonna keep sending, and like maybe one will hit.
But whatever you get back feels like a win.
For sure. Whenever someone emails you back, it's a win.
Yeah,
Right, as opposed to a bounce back.
Exactly.
Bounce backs do not feel like a win.
No, but by the way, you see that one? It's like one new email. It's like, ooh, check it, and then it's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Mailer Damon, yeah.
yes. For sure, it's like this could not be delivered to recipient. You get so many of those. It's so funny, like looking back, thinking about it, just like those things that you have to do to just like get a chance somewhere. And
I
they're
had
all
to
very
sleep with
necessary.
a lot of executives. I had to sleep
Just
with
to
so
get
many-
that.
Yeah.
That's a reality.
And you
of
didn't
this,
even
know?
get it.
Yeah.
They were like, mediocre.
That's hilarious.
So you
We don't have any spots open.
so you cross the stage at graduation, and how immediately do you go to work?
So I had no job.
No job.
So when I was a senior, though, like I had agents reaching out to me saying like, okay, we really want to work with you. We've seen your work. Like, sign with us. We want to start looking for jobs. But I knew that summer in Champaign, I was still working. I was still going to cover Illinois football and basketball for Fox Sports, and then I was supposed to move back home in August when my lease was up and when the internship was done. So I have no job. Still don't know what I'm doing. My agents, of course, are looking at some things. There was like a high school sports channel in Georgia that was interested. I'm like, okay, like, no, but I'd do it if I don't have a job.
Right.
So then August rolls around. We're getting down to the wire. I don't have a job. And me and my friends decide, okay, the last thing we want to do before we, are done is go to OVO Fest. So we go to Toronto for
Drive
OVO
up there?
Fest. Yeah, drive up. Then from Illinois, it's not that far.
Okay.
It's maybe like 6 hours.
Okay.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
So we drove up there, had a fun time. On the way back from Toronto, literally, we had just passed like it's not called customs if you're in like the border.
Yeah,
where there's
yeah.
I get a call from the Big Ten Network, and they're like, "We have a full-time position here that we want you to come fill." I was about to move back to Georgia 3 days after I got back.
You're
from
in the
Toronto.
car.
In the car with my friend Rob, Jordan, and Drew.
And you're answering a number that you don't have.
I have Quentin's number.
Oh,
I
okay,
have
gotcha.
Quentin's number.
Okay.
And I'm wondering why it's calling. Like, okay, maybe like there's just a game he wants me to cover. He's like, no.
Or he like wants to hear how OVO Fest went.
Exactly.
yeah,
He's
you
like,
know?
I saw you in
Yeah,
there as
yeah.
Drake is good in
Who'd
person.
he bring out? Yeah,
Exactly. But literally 3 days before I was going to move home, I got it.
And you said yes.
I said, of course.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, well, let me call my agent.
Yeah.
It's serious. And like, that's why, like, I know people like to sound cool and be like, luck is not a real thing. And in many ways, you create your luck.
You did.
But luck is a thing in the terms of like what the word is.
Right.
Well, let's go back like 10 minutes. You put yourself in a position. You
For
interviewed
sure.
LeBron. You interviewed KD.
I had to be prepared to be lucky.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But it's like there is such a mix of, hard work, preparation, timing, and I think that all of that can kind of encapsulate the luck.
Yeah. So Big Ten Network.
Yeah, Big Ten. So that was my very first job, and I was there for 2 years.
And where were you based out of?
Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, which I love. Summer in Chicago's the best.
Yeah. So actual Chicago.
Actual Chicago.
Not 2 hours
Yeah.
from
No,
Chicago.
yeah, lived right in downtown Chicago.
Wow.
It was amazing. Yeah, and I mean, more than that, it was just crazy. Like, first, like, I'm out of school and I'm making like 6 figures.
Right.
Like, you don't think that's gonna happen, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with all this money?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I had
So you
like,
blew it all on drugs.
yeah, I blew it all on drugs. But it was cool. I have like a high rise in Chicago, and it's like you're so young, but it's like you just don't think that that's how things are gonna happen, and then when you
Right.
do, it's like wow.
Well, let me ask you a question. How did that affect? And this may have affected your friendships in no way, but like that you are at this level, and then all your friends are like struggling to get jobs out of college and all that stuff.
I mean, luckily, all of my friends have always been so incredibly supportive. Like, and all my friends are also so different. Like, my best friend from college, her name is Jordan. She's married. She is probably gonna have a child soon. Like, she's clearly just in a different place in life than
Yeah.
I am. So I don't have any friend that is like wants to do what I do in that sense. Like, there was no friend in college that was like, dang, she got this job right away and I'm stuck. It was like their path was their path and they were working on that.
Right, but even as like a lifestyle change, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what I think.
Like,
I'm saying.
everyone has like really tiny apartments.
Yeah.
They come to mine and they're like, you have floor to ceiling windows. You
Yeah.
know?
Right, yeah.
But no, that just meant like everyone was at my house.
Oh,
you know what I
dope,
mean?
yeah.
Like, but it is definitely weird. I think the weirder things like people from high school that are like, you know, because anywhere that you're from, if people are still there, it's like disappointing for them to see that you're not there anymore.
Right.
So I think you experience that a lot more with high school, and that's why I say it's important to leave.
It's the same thing as, you know, you see your sister as a 6-year-old.
Exactly.
They see you as.
Yeah.
And it's like they, in a lot of ways, I feel like they think that Gwinnett is it for them. But I don't think it is. I think that you make that decision for it to be it for you. But I just didn't want it to be it for me.
So High Rise Taylor
Yeah.
is cooking for herself, or
Let me tell you,
Okay.
High Rise Taylor, Low Rise Hair Studio Taylor don't cook. So no, she was not. She was grub hubbing and she was out to eat.
Oh my God.
No,
Oh.
there is.
that's where the money
I
went.
have
yeah.
many flaws, and that is one. I will do like I can make like baked salmon or baked chicken.
Okay, all right.
But it's like one of those things. I make the entrees. I'm not making sides. You
Okay,
know, like
yeah.
I'm not making meals.
Right.
You'll host Thanksgiving dinner. You're not gonna
And
cook
I-
Thanksgiving
exactly,
dinner. Okay.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
no, cooking doesn't happen no matter what type of residence I am in.
Did you enjoy your job straight out of college?
I did. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about anyone at the Big Ten Network. It was an honor to be there. I'm so thankful they gave me that chance. Everybody wanted me to get better. I had to leave though because I wasn't doing what I feel like I was supposed to be doing. I didn't think that I was supposed to be on a live show and come on 3 times a show for a minute. I didn't want to be like the ornament of the show.
Right.
As much as I loved the job and experiences that I had and the fact that I was getting so many reps, I wasn't coming into my own as a journalist.
Right.
And, you know, like sometimes like treading water feels like you're drowning. And like that's what I felt like at the Big Ten Network, was that I needed to be able to have more control over my stories, talk about the things that I wanted to talk about, say what I wanted to say. And that's not necessarily what you do at a place like that, especially in the role that I was in. And when I was deciding, okay, do you want to stay at the Big Ten Network another year, or do you want to go to New York? A really good friend of mine said, you have to think, okay, if you put ego and money aside, which place is going to make you better in 2 years? And I knew that it was SNY. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go to New York.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that it was very important for him to say, if you put ego and money aside, because I'm thinking, okay, like, is it a downgrade if I go from like a national network to a regional one? Like, are people going to think that I couldn't be on national TV anymore, you know? And that was a big part of, I think, me being like maybe nervous about deciding to come to New York. But he was right. It's like that stuff isn't what's going to matter. It's okay, what is going to set you up for the next thing?
Yeah.
Right.
And that was coming here. And I feel like I most definitely made the right decision in
For
that.
sure. How good were you right away at handling traffic in your ear?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a very good question, but weirdly fine. Like everything that has come with journalism, I didn't struggle with. Like I never struggled with the teleprompter. I never struggled with someone telling me what to do in my ear. Like I never struggled with things changing on the fly. I just think I'm naturally fine with those things. Like when I'll meet people who are really good at math.
Right.
I fucking suck at math. I mean, like I use my fingers
Another
to
flaw.
count.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I use my fingers to count. You need to use a calculator, but you know how they say, I mean, like it's how my mind works. I'm good at math.
Right.
That's how I think I am with things in television. Like it's just how my mind works.
So when you were studying in college and you needed, you had an exam that was coming up, you were studying for it. Could you have music playing in the background and still concentrate on what you're reading?
Yeah, I could.
Okay,
I definitely could
okay.
do that. I just wouldn't play music, you know?
Right,
I
yeah.
You know, I wasn't trying to test my savant-like abilities.
Right.
I'm fine with like chaos going on and still being able to like thrive in that environment.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
you come to New York. Were you working at the studio that was on 51st?
Yes, so
Okay.
we were at that floor level studio, and then we moved to World Trade Center in March
Right.
of last year. Yeah.
Right. So
Wait, was it March this year? No, it was March last
last
year.
year?
Yes.
Okay. But
My years run together clearly.
but at some point you were on street level and you're dealing with like people on the
and like
on 6th
yelling
Avenue.
and putting their hands up.
But like
yeah.
Is that wild?
I loved that studio. That is the one, like, World Trade Center is better in every way,
Sure.
except I loved that street level studio felt like New York.
Right.
You know, you had the people, you had the madness, and I definitely missed that aspect of it.
It's in the mold of like what the Today Show did.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. So that was great, but yeah, like I like situations like that where you have to just like get the job done no matter what is going on around you.
So SNY is a regional network. It is the home of the Mets and
I hate baseball.
Hate baseball.
It's gotten better now because I cover it so much.
Right.
But I do not love it. Like I'm a football, basketball person. I think it's
And track.
Yeah.
And I will say though, baseball kind of has a bad rap. Like I came into it being like, this is so boring, I can't stand it. But it actually is fun. Like some aspects of it are fun. I think it's so cool if someone gets a home run or there's like a cool double play or there's a walk off. That is cool. It's just not the thing that
You're not here for the strategic, like,
pick
Yes.
off moves,
Yeah.
like
or
7
like,
in a row.
or how people love
we
like,
back-
oh my God, they had a no hitter. I'm like, okay, yeah, they did, but it wasn't even fun to watch. Like,
You don't care if someone's gonna bat the pitcher 8th instead of 9th. That really doesn't blow your mind.
exactly. I don't care like if the reliever comes in and saves the game. Like, it's just not my thing. But I have a new appreciation for it for sure.
Yeah.
Have you told Great Uncle Lou that you think it's a garbage sport?
Yeah, I mean, he knows I don't love baseball. I mean, I like the Cardinals. Someone else on my team was, I say the Cardinals.
Right.
I love Busch Stadium. I think it's the best baseball stadium. But
Are you sponsored by Bush?
plug the Busch plug. But no, it's just not my. It's not my thing.
Are you jaded by sports because you're able to go and it has become a job rather than like
Not at all.
Okay, good.
I am not jaded by sports, but I was actually talking about this on my podcast with Dion Waiters. It's that I'm more jaded about people, meaning, you grow up with sports and you think that all these people are like heroes and they're amazing and every single person, it's like teams are a family and you just have this idea of like what every person is like, and all of those ideas are positive and amazing, and when you meet them they're gonna be everything you thought they would be. And in a lot of ways I wish you don't meet the people that you look up to, because you want them to keep that aura of like mystique and that aura of greatness all the time. But great men aren't always good men, but I think that we feel as though they are. And so I just don't think that it's good for people to like lose their mystique. And when you're around them all the time, the mystique is gone. You know too much about them.
Sure.
And I think that's also something that has happened with social media in a lot of ways. Is it used to be like seeing the Loch Ness Monster if you saw Michael Jordan. If there was LeBron James and no social media, if you saw LeBron, it would be a huge deal.
Right.
But we know everything that happens in everybody's life all the time. So it's not as, like, Hollywood isn't this secret society.
Right.
It's just a thing.
Yeah.
Like it used to be like the days of Marilyn Monroe. It was like she was a unicorn if you saw her.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a picture you could take to prove it.
Right.
But it was you saw her and it was a big deal.
Right.
But famous people and these great people are no longer that because it seems like they're so accessible.
And by the way, this is why the Kanye shit hurts so much. It's because
Yeah, you pull out the curtain and you find out, oh, I thought that he was this great thinker, and it turns out all the thoughts are about himself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. But you wouldn't know that if this was, 20 years ago?
But I do want to
Well,
say
with Kanye, I think he probably would have been loud enough.
He would have found a way.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, for the very, very most part, our experience with like our musical heroes has been very good. Like I think we've been lucky to have not been let down by
for sure.
so many.
But I do think that like we curate it very well, right? Like we bring in people over here that we respect.
I agree.
As opposed to being like, let's just get the hottest person of the month.
That's fair. That's fair.
And it's not even like I haven't had like some terrible experience with anyone. It's just the fact that you realize they're mortal.
Yeah.
And like I'm more
that
just,
you could kill them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you're young and you love sports so much, you just think that they're not a human.
Right.
But then you're like, well, they are a human.
Right.
Dang, I didn't want them to be a human. You know what I mean? And so that's more so what I think has been the thing that has. I'm not jaded by the job. It's just like realizing that people are people and they have flaws and all those things. And I realized that very early on.
What is the best sporting event that has been a perk of your job to attend?
Good question.
Was it when we all did home run derby at Citi Field?
Oh, yes. Definitely. Who won that, by the way? Raven was close, right?
No, that's very generous of you.
I believe.
Shout
out, Raven.
It was Russ Bankston came in second. But I came in third, and it was
the lacrosse player.
The lacrosse player came in first.
Which it's like, it really is. He allowed to participate?
No.
Yeah.
No.
He was a ringer.
No, this is unfair.
Yeah.
He's a giant of a man.
Exactly. No, I don't know. I would probably say the Big Ten championship. Because it was when Ohio State beat Wisconsin 59-0.
Yeah.
And
a no-hitter.
It was insane. Yeah. See, now that's the type of no-hitter I want to watch. It's exciting. They won 59-0.
Shouldn't you hate both of those teams as an Illini alumni?
But this is the thing. People are always like, what do you think about Illini sports? I was never a fan. I was always covering the team. So I don't have that intense...
Wow.
Fandom.
Right.
Because I always had to just be writing about the game. I never went to a game as not a...
This is what you should say when University of Illinois hits you up and is like, hey, can you make a donation?
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't
I'm
really go there. I just talked about school. But that was really cool because then they went and won the national championship.
Yeah.
It's an inaugural year. And that was probably my best year in sports just because I saw something that was literally historic.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun to cover.
So how did the podcast come about?
I was sitting in a room during the summer bored and said, I need to start a podcast. Literally.
All right.
Literally. It was because at the Big Ten Network in the summer, you weren't working because there's not college sports and there's not necessarily programming. And I felt like I need to be doing something so that it doesn't seem like I'm doing nothing.
Right.
So I started the podcast. It's funny. My very first guest on the podcast was Tyrod Taylor. I have this little blue mic, I think they're called, and you record it through your computer. You record it through Skype.
Okay.
Because there's something about the sound quality and Skype picks up on blue mic. It sounds good, whatever. I thought the only reason you use Skype was because it was plugged to the computer, and Tyrod didn't have Skype. So I was like, you know what? I can just use FaceTime. We record the whole podcast. You can't hear anything.
No.
You can't hear anything. But I had already said Tyrod was going to be on the show. I had people send in questions. The next day I called Tyrod and I'm like, I know this sounds terrible, but it didn't record. We have to do a whole new podcast. And he agreed.
He was like, didn't you go to school for journalism?
Yeah. He was like, it's okay. We'll do it again.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so that helped. Thankfully.
By the way, the worst thing that could have happened would have been if he said no.
Exactly. But he was so nice and just did it again. But obviously, we talked about totally different things, so I didn't feel robotic. Yeah. Tyrod was my first podcast guest, and then my second podcast guest was Snoop Dogg.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So I was like, I need people to be like, I want to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
So it worked out. But seriously, this was all at that time. I was living with my boyfriend in Chapel Hill, my ex-boyfriend now, living with him in Chapel Hill for the whole summer, and that's what I was doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it something that you thought you would continue once you moved to New York?
Yes. But I got here and I waited maybe 6 months just to get acclimated and to figure out how it would work, and I just picked that up. And so for that relaunch, Victor Cruz was my first guest.
Again, pretty good.
Yeah, so it was good. I've been very, very fortunate with my guests, and just always wanting to kind of raise the bar with the next guest.
Right.
I hope I can have more women on the podcast. People always say I've also only had Black people on the podcast, so I like to diversify in that way as well. I mean, I had Enes Kanter,
right?
But yeah, so I just want to keep on bringing it to a different level.
But can you talk about the difference between doing something like a podcast, which may be more personal, rather than being on one side of the television screen?
I tell everyone I did not feel fulfilled doing this job until I started the podcast. It's the only thing that makes me feel fulfilled in journalism. I'm doing something that matters and that I care about. I don't want to be somebody that you turn on the TV and they just relay the news to you. I want to evoke emotion and feeling out of people and the person I'm interviewing. And you can only do that in that setting. And there's so many things about TV that I don't like now. For example, on a television show, definitely. But that's why you have DVR. Yeah. When you're watching a show and they have a guest, you talk to the guest for 5 to 10 minutes and you move on to the next thing. I miss shows like Oprah where it's a long form interview. You're the guest of the day. I'm gonna talk to you for a long time, and we're gonna figure this shit out.
Yeah.
that I wish TV would go back to. And that's why things like podcasts are so great, and that's why I love having that, just like that one-on-one conversation. And I just want to one day have it go back to that. So I don't feel anything if I just go on and tell you the highlight and that the Mets won and this is what Odell Beckham Jr. said today.
Right.
It has to be something that's more personal. And even if it's not something deep, like the Michael Beasley interview where he's talking about his brain and that whole crazy thing, like that wasn't a deep conversation, but it was you seeing like an athlete be normal.
Right.
And that's what I try to do, is like I want people to realize this is just a conversation that they're having in a room with someone they're talking to.
Yeah, they
Everything
are normal
doesn't
people.
have to be right. Everything doesn't have to be so like serious all the time. And like I don't care about your free throw percentage, you know? I care about all that other stuff. And I try to make sure the podcast isn't focused on that.
I feel like the first time we actually got to hang out, well, the first time we met was at a barbecue that our friend Cam had done up in Harlem.
Yeah, and it was too hot.
Too hot.
Yeah.
Like way too hot.
Yeah.
Way too hot.
But like, how did you end up in the same circles as us?
Yeah. So it started, Scotty Beam was getting like, it wasn't like, there was an event that was centered around her. And so I went to go support Scotty. And that's when I met Raven. And me and Raven just became super close. But that day that I met Raven, Lo was there, Cam was there, Carl was there, like just everyone was there.
It was all Duce Palooza.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And this was maybe like my 3rd month in New York.
Wow.
So they were my first people that I feel like were my friends. You know what I mean?
And you knew Gianni through what?
I knew Gianni actually through social media. We followed each other for a while. And then when I moved to New York, it was like, oh my God, let's see each other, you know? And then, we just all became friends, and I love them, and they're the best. I still have not gone to a Duce Palooza, though.
Really?
What has stopped you?
Every time they have
You
one, I'm
can't
working.
get a ticket.
Yeah. Every single time they have one, I'm working. I have gone to trap karaoke, though, and I did karaoke while I was
What
there.
would you perform?
Yeah.
I wanted to do Killing Me Softly.
Uh-huh.
But Lo gave it to someone else. Like,
Damn.
Yeah, it
Are
was
you
like,
still friends
don't
with
let
Lo?
anyone.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Because that's unforgivable, you know?
Did you have a backup?
Yeah, I did Keisha Cole, Let It Go.
Oh, all right.
wow.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
was
So
good.
you were, who hurt you?
Yeah.
Oh, how much time do you have?
Wait, are
How much
those
time do you have?
those your go-tos whenever you go to karaoke, period?
No, like if I'm going to have fun and just like be crazy, I would do like a Whitney.
Okay.
I never do Beyonce or anything. People love doing Beyonce at karaoke. That's what I do.
Right.
Like Whitney, Lauren, or more. Like that's where I live.
You're not going to rap anything?
No.
Okay.
Because I want to get crazy and like flip my hair and feel like I'm into it.
Yeah.
So I stay in that ballpark for
All right.
sure.
What we do
Yes.
is...
Do you guys do it together?
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
we don't do everything together, but
Right.
we do this one karaoke song together, which is Tony Braxton's Unbreak My Heart.
Yeah.
And kill it.
Do you do the very low?
yeah.
Okay, let me hear a
It's the
sample.
same vocal range.
Let me hear a sample.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it for you when we go to karaoke.
Yeah.
But we did do it. There was actually, Rembert Brown?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so Rem had, and he hates karaoke,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and decided that he finally wanted to do a karaoke birthday party, but only at this place in Brooklyn,
Okay.
which is,
This couple's house.
yeah,
It's like...
yeah. It's right? Okay.
Wait, and couple's house is not the name of the bar. It's
No.
literally
No.
a couple's house.
Correct.
It's a couple, like
A
his
can of
name
house.
is... I forget.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's a pair of former karaoke DJs from the city who bought a place in Williamsburg and turned their home into a karaoke spot. So it's, I forget what the name is, Lion's Roar, right?
Yep.
And it's this spot.
They have the TV, they have like the whole setup, all of
Yeah.
it. But they like run it, there will be like groups of like 30 people
Yeah.
coming in all day and night.
So it's 30
That
people
is
max.
really cool.
So if you're going to invite your 30 friends
Yeah.
and know that it's only 30 friends, you want to pick the people who are going to have the most fun and are not going to just sit there and not do karaoke,
Yes.
right? So these were 30 people who were going to kill it that night. And so, of course, we had to break out Tony
Yeah,
Braxton
Tony
and
Braxton, Unbreak My Heart.
bodied it. It was
Yeah.
great.
Is there video footage?
Yes,
I think
there
so.
is.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
You're very proud of this whole rendition, you guys.
When you're a star, this is how we got to the Grammys.
That's right. Yeah.
We were supposed to perform, but just something happened during sound check, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, they had to do Memorial instead.
That's right.
Yes, but I love. I think it's so fun.
It is
to go out
fun.
there.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm so into it.
Well, what is your drink of choice?
Okay, I'm gonna sound so collegey for this, and I'm aware because whenever I order, all my friends are like, "Really?"
Long Island iced tea.
still do-
Oh.
I still do like a pineapple Malibu,
Okay. All right.
which is so collegey.
Yeah.
But I am not like some sophisticated drinker. Like I don't drink red wine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say on the rocks. I'm just
And you don't cook your own food.
I don't.
Yeah.
Get over
And
it,
I'm
everyone,
basically
right? Yeah.
still a
These are your
kid.
flaws.
Yeah. I'll say to the bartender, "Can you just make something fruity for me?" I hate the taste of alcohol. I really
Yeah.
do. But I like alcohol.
Okay.
I don't like to taste it though. Just get me there.
So, do your parents have some sort of TV package that they can watch you regularly?
Yes. More important than my parents, my grandma. Like
Yeah?
she watches it religiously. She makes me send me her schedule so she knows exactly when I'm gonna be on.
Does grandma
she
send
takes
notes?
photos of it every day. She'll be like, "Your hair's gotten longer. I don't like that dress." You know?
These are all like very like constructive notes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yo, grandmas can get real honest.
100%.
Yeah.
My grandmother that passed.
Yeah.
She would be like, "That dress is too low cut. I'm not gonna watch until you change that dress."
Wait, they wanted you to
Literally.
raise the hem?
No, like she felt like it was
No,
too
too low
Oh,
cut.
like
Too low
me.
cut.
Got it.
Yeah.
She was like
I thought
my,
she was saying you were like dressed like very puritanical.
No,
yeah,
like
yeah,
No, like my grandma Mary was very like, "Why are you wearing that?" You know, she preferred I wore like a turtleneck. You know, she was the best. But so grandmas are just like that.
Yeah.
Since it's funny, like she'll always take a picture of the TV and send it to me. Like I don't know what I look like on TV or something, but it's cute. Like 'cause she just loves
That's so nice,
watching.
though.
Yeah. So my mom though was like, "If you don't start sending me this schedule, I'm gonna cut off SNY because it costs me extra money to get it." I'm like, "Okay, I'll start sending it to you so that you know when you can watch whatever."
Or are they asking you to pay the cable bill?
Exactly,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like maybe.
But she's a loyal podcast listener.
That's
she loves whenever I have a podcast, she listens to it like twice.
Is she going to listen to this one?
Probably.
Can you shout her out?
Seriously,
Yeah.
shout out, Mom. I know you're listening. Wondering why I'm embarrassing you right now.
Oh.
My mom is so extra. Like, her birthday was in January.
Okay.
and we're still celebrating.
Happy
Right now,
belated.
Literally. She felt like she needed to have a party so that everyone could make it. So her party is in 2 weeks. I have to go back to Georgia for her January
What?
birthday party. Because she didn't have one in January.
So she's doing a half birthday.
Happy.
I guess,
yeah.
but it's still
It's like a biannual birthday.
Or is it happy early birthday?
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
like, I want everyone to be able to come to the party, so
Sure.
we're just celebrating it.
Are you going to have T-shirts?
No, she wanted to, but she's having a casino night. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
I'm excited about it. It's just so like.
Wait,
extra.
her side of the family is the one who has fun and gets crazy, or that's your
No,
dad's
the
side
dad's
of the family?
side is
Okay.
extra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dad's side's extra. Yeah. Mom's side's more. I would say they're more chill. For
Doesn't
sure.
sound like it.
Like they want family reunions to be like in St. Louis, which no one wants a family reunion in St. Louis.
No, they
What if
gotta
it's
be
a-
in like Bermuda.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're just more like I want to do the thing that's most convenient
Uh-huh.
versus the thing that's more fun.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So that's what you do with that side. But her party will be fun.
Okay.
A fish
So-
fry and casino night, I think. She
Oh.
just blended those two things.
Casino night
Yeah,
and fish
I
fry.
don't know.
I don't know. I'm kind of with it. I don't know. This
Exactly.
is great.
It'll be good. I
Yeah.
think, for sure.
SNY has been a lot of fun. Have there been any moments where they've called you up in the middle of the night and needed you to like sub for somebody?
No.
Well, that's cool.
Luckily, that has not happened.
Or your agent is just screening the calls.
Exactly. Not saying it to me. No, because like here, whenever something happens, the New York market is fairly good about making sure it happens at a convenient time. Like if I'm gonna hire David Fisdale, I'm gonna do it so that everyone can make it to the press conference. You know what I mean? There's never like some crazy emergency at night.
Gotcha.
But the thing about SNY is, so the show comes on at 11, but you don't get to leave SNY until 1:30, and that's because you have to make sure nothing happens before you leave.
Right.
Because if something happens, you have to redo that part of the show because it re-airs in the morning.
Yeah.
You know.
But there hasn't been like a Tiger Woods moment where it's just something like outside of the sort of sports realm, but still has something to do with someone in sports, and it's like, oh, we have to
No.
report on this.
Like I wasn't working this night or there, but I remember like one of my colleagues was telling me like when Muhammad Ali died,
Yeah.
they had to stay much later,
Right.
Yeah.
Because it had to make it in the show, but then they also had to keep making sure like it happened,
Yep.
and that they updated with any relevant news about it.
Sure.
So things like that, those things would happen at night. The news may come out later. But I have not had to get out of bed luckily, and I hope you didn't jinx me. If this happens to me this summer, I promise you it's because you said it.
Yo, the power of our podcast.
It's never happened.
Yeah.
And so I'd prefer it does not. Please.
Where in New York do you live, by the way?
I'm in Financial District, so I'm right next to work, so I can just walk.
Yeah.
But the downside
this is definitely going to happen then.
Yeah. The downside of that is they know that I could just walk.
Right.
So, if work calls, like, I'll let them leave a voicemail
before
I call back. Because you don't want to answer, and then it's like, whew, good thing you answered. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll answer, see what it is, and then decide, when I want to call back.
By the way, I was going to say the one downside of the Financial District is that there's no grocery stores, but that doesn't matter for you because you don't.
There's a Whole Foods.
Oh, but
is there now?
You never go there.
But that's why
Who
Whole
cares?
Foods is good because they make the food already.
Oh, true.
So that's what I do.
Yeah.
I get the food. Either you just have to warm up, you just have to put in the oven, things like that.
Yeah.
I get a lot of fruit.
Mm-hmm. Do you eat at work?
Yeah.
Because I don't know,
sure. I would, if I could eat while working air, I would. Yeah. I love food.
Do you wear jeans underneath the
underneath
the desk? Yeah.
I'll wear tennis shoes if you're not gonna see me.
Really?
I actually I have some pretty good sneakers.
Oh.
I just don't wear them a lot.
Talk about it.
Are you gonna go do sneaker shopping with Joe LaPuma?
No, oh my God. No, I'm not cool enough to do that one day. No, so my ex-boyfriend loves sneakers.
Okay.
So he would just always give me sneakers. Like I have tons of Air Maxes. I have a lot of Asics, a lot of New Balances. But it's weird, I really only know how to dress for work. I don't really know how to dress casually. So I'm like, well, how do I
That's why you don't go to Duce Palooza.
No, seriously, it is. I'm like, I don't know how to make this look cute. I just am usually wearing heels or boots, and that's not what you can wear everywhere.
Right.
So if I'm going casual somewhere, I'm wearing workout clothes, just because it's you can't fail with that. So
Athleisure's very in.
So I have a lot of these sneakers that are kind of just not rotting away, but they don't even get to be worn.
Yeah.
But I'll figure out a way to bring them back. Yes. Yes.
A phrase that you don't use. It was a good callback. I just feel like it didn't get a lot of attention. So I wanted to bring
this should have gotten more appreciation.
Right.
But yeah, and that's one thing though. I think people think I am different than I actually am.
Oh, that's got to be weird.
I think people think I'm really bougie and
Is that what they want you to be?
No, I just think they think I am, which I don't know
because
why.
of what you present on Instagram?
Yeah, but I don't even think I present that. I'll meet sometimes people that say oh, I didn't think you were going to be so chill or so nice. I'm like, why? Does it seem like I'd be mean or I don't know.
Maybe it's because I keep going in your comments and saying, wow, Taylor's so mean.
Very mean.
It's all you.
Yeah. Actually, did Taylor Swift do damage on your name?
No, she didn't. But now, if I'm on the phone and someone's saying, what's your name? And I'm like, Taylor. They're like, Kayla. I'm like, Taylor Taylor Swift. I need to say it Taylor so that they understand what I'm saying.
Taylor Lawrence Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I should say that.
Yeah.
But some people would be like, Lawrence Taylor. I'm like, LT. They're like, who is LT? But I also switched to saying Taylor Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh wow, that's that.
I switch it up.
Little bougie.
Oh, that's bougie.
Taylor Taylor Gang.
Yeah. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So it's weird. People just think you're something that you're not. That's one thing Raven always said. She's like, people don't realize you're not uptight. I'm not an uptight person at all. I don't feel like I have to be together all the time.
Right.
Raven took me to this it was called Hoop Showdown. It was in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Shout out to Johnny.
Yeah. It was in the Bronx River Projects. She goes, we're gonna go to the Bronx. It's in the projects. Come with me. I went and all these people were like, I can't believe you came to the I got so many tweets last person I thought I'd see in the Bronx River Projects. And it's why do you think that? Why do you feel like I think I'm above going to? You know what I'm trying to say?
Tell the people something normal you do.
Everything I do, literally everything I do nothing abnormal, and my life also is not as interesting as I think people think it is.
You sound like Pusha T dealing with the Drake situation.
I don't have a baby that I'm hiding. Let's definitely put that out there.
You can't make skeletons in the closet up.
Yeah. I don't have a ghostwriter. Which is another thing. I do these commentaries on SNY. Everything that I do, I write. I would never make something that I'm saying as my thought I didn't write.
Yep.
I get so many comments did you write this? Yes, I wrote it. Why do you? But I honestly, I think how do I say this? Like, a lot of times when people say rude things to me, like, did you write this? Or like, why did he come on your podcast? I, in so many ways, think it's a flattering comment. I only say that because it's like, I am so good at what I do, you think I'm doing something bad. Like, you can only be doing that if you had some type of advantage.
Damn.
But it's like, no. Like,
right.
It's so hard for you to think that I could do this that you gotta rationalize it.
Yo.
You know what I'm saying?
That should be on your business card.
Yeah, like, no, I don't need, like, and that's why when people like say that, I think I'm like getting annoyed. I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Like, it's unbelievable to you how good I am.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yo, let me just tell all the people out there right now that Taylor is so good at
How
everything
good is she?
at everything she does except
How
parallel
good is
parking.
she? She will fail that.
Yeah, she will.
Yes.
Yo, Taylor, we're so happy that you came up here.
Yes,
and
I'm happy.
we're so thrilled to hear your whole story, and congratulations on everything you've done and everything you're about to do.
Thank you so much. You guys are the best. Now, I will think of something I should have said in the beginning for my name, and I'll just like make sure you guys know. I wasn't prepared for a rap name. But I'll get it. I would have done like a sound effect. Y'all sound effect was way cooler than that.
Listen, you
But
could be
thank
like
you.
Taylor Crooks.
No,
You
wow.
could be.
I could.
Yeah.
Taylor Crooks work.
Yeah.
For sure. People in college used to call me T-Raj.
Oh, like Tyga.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening to this new episode of A Waste of Time with It's The Real. Jeff, if people want to find out more about us, if people want to find out more about this podcast of ours, if people want to find more information about what the hell It's The Real, no apostrophe, no spaces is, where can they go?
You can always go to itsthereal.com, ItsTheReal.com, no apostrophes, no spaces. You can also go to itsthereal.com/shop to get all of our merch. We are selling t-shirts on there, including from our AKAs to the Rockefeller podcast we did, to the Lakers t-shirt that we made dedicated to our LA show, plus our book called Rhyme Book, which is on Amazon.com for pre-sale right now.
Yes.
If you want to find our podcast, old and new episodes can be found on soundcloud.com/awasteoftime, or you can go on iTunes and search for A Waste of Time with It's The Real, or even just It's The Real. It's very easy to find.
Yes.
Search for our music, which is on soundcloud.com/itsthereal, or on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Pandora, all streaming services.
Audiomack. Shout out to the Audiomack guys who we saw running around the Roots picnic with t-shirt guns.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Play Clothes. I'm sorry we weren't able to connect out there. You can also find us on social media. Twitter at It's The Real, Facebook at It's The Real, Instagram at It's The Real, Snapchat at It's The Real. I did see that Snapchat is still very popular with teens.
Really?
I don't know how many teens are listening to us.
All right.
But yeah, we are there on Snapchat. Also, we are on Twitch at It's The Real, It's The Real. And we are on Reddit at It's The Real.
Are you back on Reddit?
I am going to be back on Reddit.
All right. Jeff, this podcast can only grow if our fans, friends, fanatics spread the word. And we appreciate when you guys do that, and we will reward you with a shout out. So we'd like to shout some people out today. Go spread the word about A Waste of Time with It's The Real. Jeff, who do you want to shout?
I want to shout out a bunch of people. I have so many people I have to shout out.
This is the place to do it.
I'm going to do it right here and right now. I want to shout out a bunch of people who have commented on our Instagram in the past couple of days. I want to shout out Big Waz out in LA. I want to shout out Remy Rojo _ DJ LKP. I want to shout out Hayfield Chang and Iamagram, Flobama for Prez, _ Can't Tell Me Nothing, Jonathan Mena, Ouija15, Ain't No Jigga out in wherever that person is from.
Right.
Maybe Jay-Z.
In Brooklyn.
Noriega also commented. I want to shout out Rest in Beats. I want to shout out Untouched _ Reno. King Shabazz, whose teacher in college was Ninth Wonder.
How about that?
I want to shout out Ivan Ibarra out in Oklahoma. Be Easy Gigi. Jay Fleisch, who's coming up on the podcast.
Yeah.
Big Haas, Infamous 1985, DJ Forge, David Knox, Cyprian _ M, and X Vibes and Stuff _
All right. And a whole lot more shout outs coming, I'm sure, next week as well. Jeff, I want to make one shout out. You made a million. I want to make one. Our friend out there in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Malcolm Flex. He said that if we shouted him out, he would tell 3 random people he works with about the show and have them cultured with the culture.
Wow.
And so I wonder, Jeff, are they really going to be random? Is he going to walk up to someone at his job that he's never met or talked to and just said, hey, I'm Malcolm Flex. I have a podcast for you to listen to. And it's these 2 brothers from New York City, New York, United States of America, a waste of time with It's The Real.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how much of a psychopath Malcolm Flex is. If he's going to be walking up to random people being like, hey, I got shouted out on this thing that you don't know about.
Or is it random for him to talk to, like, maybe his boss's boss?
Yeah, you want to know what? Yeah, aim high.
Let's go.
Go to the top of the ladder.
Don't take no for an answer. Look for that yes. Tell people about a waste of time with It's The Real. As always, guys, not for real, for real.
Sure.
See you guys next week. Brrrah!